Good day, good day, good day, good day, good day, and welcome again to our live session. For those of you who are joining us, let us know in the chat, whether it's in the live chat, whether it's in the replay, let us know in the chat where you're joining us from. Are you joining us from within the UK? Are you joining us from within the US of A? Let us know in the chat where you are joining us from. Now, gratefully, today we had no tech issues whatsoever. We were literally good to go. So I'm grateful to be able to get into today's session straight away, on time, in time, and add value to you guys as we go further, faster for your future. So without further ado, let's make a start by literally sharing with you guys exactly what we have in store for today's session, as well as sharing with you guys what we have been doing in the previous session. So first and foremost, a great big welcome to you guys wherever you're joining us from, whether you're watching this on Facebook, on YouTube, or some snippet of this on some other kind of platform. Guys, I just want to say a great big welcome to you. I'm Samuel Ikanwini-Kimwin. I am going to be your property tour guide throughout today's training session, sharing with you principles for your property investing. So whether you're someone who's just started your property investment journey and you're saying to yourself, how do I navigate in this massive sea and ocean of property investing? Or whether you're someone who's way more experienced, you've been investing for a number of years, like many of our students, maybe you already have a portfolio of several or 8 properties, here is the right place for you to move further, faster in your future. So a great big welcome, welcome, welcome. We got Dwayne in the house who says, let's go. Let's go, Dwayne. Great to have you in the live. And everyone else who's with us, who's joining us on the live, a great big welcome to you guys as well. Let us know where you're joining from so we can welcome you as well. Now, just to get started with, last week, we focused on what we called the Joseph approach. Someone throw in the chat the word Joseph, all right? Last week, that was our main focus. And what we were looking at specifically is how Joseph, in the book of Genesis, was able to navigate through what we called fat years, years where he had market peaks, and also through what we called lean years, years where he had market valleys. And I broke down a definition of market peaks and market valleys and showed you guys exactly how you can win in this property thing. I literally just broke it down for you guys exactly how this particular principle we see through the life of Joseph in the Bible literally relates and connects with what we're doing also inside of our property investing. And I'm having a whole bunch more people jumping up in the house. Alison, hi Samuel, it's Alison from London. Alison, welcome to the live. Also, we have Katrina in the house. Katrina says she's coming in from the UK. Welcome, Katrina. Great to have you on the live as well. And we've got Joseph coming through in the chat from Dwayne. Joseph coming through in the chat from Katrina. And those of you who heard last week, that's what we covered. Joseph's approach to literally navigating the peaks and valley as it pertains to property investing. Now, today, we're going to be covering something slightly different. We're not going to be covering Joseph's approach anymore. We did that last week, but this week we're going to go a bit deeper. But before I do that, I want to give a little shout out, okay? A little shout out to what I call a little success showcase that I want to share with you guys on this live, okay? Now, this success showcase, I say, okay, we got Ellie Wellbeing in the house from Cambridge. Great to have you guys in the house as well. All right, so here's a quick success showcase that I want to share with you guys. I try to start every one of these sessions, these live sessions, by sharing with you how people in my community, whether it be inside of our Facebook group, and guys, if you're watching this on YouTube and you're not in the Facebook group, check the description in the chat so you can join the Facebook group Impact Investing. For those of you who are in the Facebook group, you guys know that there's a bunch of stuff we do in this Facebook group besides these lives to help people go further, faster in their property investment journey. And then obviously we have coaching programs as well. So in one of our coaching programs, a couple who recently joined, they're the newest additions to this specific coaching program, they have started doing their direct marketing campaigns, okay? And this is one of the things we teach in terms of property. One of the things I share with my students is that out there in the world, most people are trying to find all of their property deals through means of estate agents, but the greatest deals are not actually found, the greatest deals are literally made. So one of the ways we make these deals is by doing direct marketing campaigns. And for those of you who are interested in that, again, check the description of this video. Wherever you're seeing this video, in the description, it will have a blueprint, my sourcing blueprint, showing you how we literally find properties direct from sellers. Now, why is this important? It's important because in today's Success Showcase, I want to give a great big shout out and round of applause. Let's run the round of applause. Let's go, let's go, let's go. My great big shout out and round of applause for today's session is literally for Joseph and Kashina, okay? Husband and wife team who joined our coaching program earlier on this year, who recently got their first marketing campaign out and active. And from getting their marketing campaign active, they received their first inbound call from a specific landlord, owner of a property, okay? Now, the reason why they're gonna be on this Success Showcase today is because of one simple thing. This was their first batch of direct marketing material, okay? So someone write in the chat, first batch. So I understand that you understand how powerful that is. Now, when I first got into property, I was told by one of my coaches I would have to market for 6 months straight before I could even expect someone to respond. But in their first batch, literally only distributing 46 pieces, 46 materials, they were able to hear back from their first seller slash landlord slash property owner. So a great big successful shout out on the Success Showcase today for Joseph and Kashina. Now, you might be saying to yourself, Samuel, that's absolutely amazing, but what about me? I can hear other people having success, but what about me? Well, if you're thinking about yourself, this is why we're here for today's show. Because in today's show, what we're going to be covering specifically is we are going to be covering a topic which I think is going to help you massively. And this is a topic that I really like sharing, because in this topic, what's going to happen is you're going to get a clearer idea of how you can move further faster in your property investing journey, okay? And the key to this is basically looking at things slightly differently to how you've looked at things before, okay? Because we live in a world where most people find out their news from school, from the government, and literally from their employer, all right? And that's just slightly outside of the parents, okay? Because the parents are the next group of people that generally tell us what to do, how to do it, and when to do it, all right? But if you're someone who's been following me for a while, one of the things I realized is that literally the pages of the Bible harness and house the secrets to true success. So one of the things I like to do is literally use the Bible to discover success secrets that we can use to move further faster in our property investing journey. So if I bring the slides back up, today's session, we're going to be talking about from tent to temple, scaling your property portfolio. Now, why is this relevant to you? Well, the first reason it's going to be relevant to you is because you might be saying, Samuel, I'm just starting my property journey. I don't even have a tent, okay? And we're going to define what I mean by a tent. And if you're in that predicament where you're starting with just a tent, you're right at the beginning, you don't even know how to move further faster, we're going to be sharing with you how to do that. But if you're further on than that, and you're in a position where maybe you've got your first property, maybe you have a portfolio of properties, I'm going to be specifically showing you principles in order for you to fast track your scaling process. So scaling your property portfolio is exactly what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be taking some principles out of the Bible, and we are going to be showing you how to move further faster in your property investing journey. Now, if you are looking forward to that, let me see in the chat the words I am. I just want to see the words I am. If you're looking forward to that, I want to see the words I am if you're looking forward to that. Now, without further ado, I'm going to jump straight in. Let's start by defining the first thing I want to be sharing with you guys today. So today, what we're going to basically be discussing is how to go from tent to temple. Now, the term tent is a proverbial term. Why am I using proverbial terms? Because we're going to be pulling principles out of the Bible. And what we want to do when we pull these principles out of the Bible is we want to be able to see them in 3D. We want to be able to say, okay, cool, I get what Samuel's talking about when he uses the term tent, okay? I get what Samuel's talking about when he uses the word temple, all right? And this is the reason why I'm utilizing this terminology for this particular session, so you guys can have a clear understanding of exactly what we are talking about, all right? So let's get the board on, because that's going to be helpful for you guys, all right? So the first thing we're talking about is a tent? Let me do my best at drawing a literal tent, okay? So let's say this is a tent. Let's make it more 3D so you guys can enjoy this tent a bit more, okay? So if we start with a tent, you may be saying, Samuel, when you say tent, what are you talking about? Well, here's what I'm talking about to give you guys a flavor. And it looks like the board's not showing yet. If the board is showing, just say it is. Okay, there we go. Should be showing now, right? So when I'm talking about a tent, here are the things I'm bringing to play that I want you guys to be thinking about when you think about, okay, I'm right at the start. Okay? And I can see you guys are looking forward to this. I see Dwayne in the chat who says I am. I see Alison in the chat who says I am. All right, I'm with the right people today. Let's go. So when I'm talking about a tent, I'm talking about no properties. Okay? So you might be in this position where you're actually starting this journey with no properties. What do I mean by no properties? You may own no properties. You may have never bought a property, okay? Or you may own a property for residential purposes, but own no property for investment purposes, okay? So this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying starting from a tent, okay? You may be someone who owns one property, okay? So let's say you own your house that you live in, but you don't own anything else, okay? So this is the tent predicament. Now, let me even go deeper, because I don't know if there's going to be some of these people on here, but I know some of my clients actually cater and serve this audience. So I'm actually going to speak to this audience as well. You may be someone who's literally homeless, okay? You may be watching this right now. Someone may have sent this live to you. Someone may have sent this replay of this video to you. And you may be saying, but Samuel, how can this help me? I'm literally homeless. You might be in a position where you say, Samuel, I've got no properties. You might be in a position where you say, Samuel, I only own one property. Okay? These pictures, these word pictures I'm presenting to you and creating for you are for you to understand that when I'm talking about going from a tent, I'm talking about going from that literal predicament. If that's your predicament right now, today's session is going to help you. Okay? Now, let's go deeper. When I'm talking about the word temple, what am I talking about? When I'm talking about a temple, I'm talking about not a place of worship, not a religious place, but from a property perspective, I'm literally talking about a well-balanced portfolio, a place where it becomes like a sanctuary for you. So this might be you having, for example, a portfolio of 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 properties. So let's say a successful portfolio. Okay? This is what I'm sharing with you in today's session. How you go from literally, if that's your predicament, being homeless. How you go from literally, if that's your predicament, owning one property. How you go from literally, if that's your predicament, only having a property that you live in, or even having no properties, to having a successful portfolio, to having a place which becomes a sanctuary for you, okay? And I'm not just talking about your own home, I'm talking about the cash flow, the revenue, okay? Someone write the word revenue in the chat so I know I'm with the right people. A revenue which creates a sanctuary for you, okay? Because you now are able to, and I'm gonna share this, pursue your purpose, which is the big thing for me, okay? It's always been a big thing for me. From the age of 18, 19, I just got addicted to pursuing my purpose and assisting other people to pursue their purposes passionately. So this is what I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to be sharing with you insights into how you're able to literally do that. And in order to do that, we're going to be jumping into the Bible, okay? I see revenue in the chat. You guys are with me. Dwayne is on fire today in the comments. Let's go. So we're going to get started in 2 Samuel, my namesake, okay? 2 Samuel chapter 7. And I'm going to read a few verses, literally I'm going to read 2 verses, 1 to 2. But I'm going to pull out of here a predicament which will help you, which will help us to move further, faster in our property investing future. So if you're ready, let me see the word ready in the chat. For everyone who's ready, let me see the word ready in the chat as we jump into today's session. Let me see that word ready so I know you guys are ready to go, okay? And this is going to help those of you, even those of you who are thinking to yourself, oh, but Sammy, I've got no money to invest in property. Today's session is for you. All right, those readies are coming through. Let's go. I'm in 2 Samuel chapter 7. I'm going to read verse 1 and 2. Verse 1 says, and it came to pass when the king sat in his house. Okay, so this is a king. king is sitting in his house. Okay, we're not going to put a facial expression right now because we don't know how the king's feeling. Watch this. And the Lord had given him rest round about from all his enemies. So if you have enemies and you've overcome all your enemies, how would you be feeling? Let's write this down. If you had enemies, guys, let me know in the chat. If you had enemies and all your enemies had been defeated, how would you be feeling? Oh my gosh, here we go. Alison says, I can't let Dwayne be more on fire than me. Let's go. All right, so let me know, guys. Let me know in the chat. Those of you who's joining us live, if you're joining us on a replay, let us know in the replay chat. If you had enemies and all your enemies had been defeated, God had helped you to defeat all your enemies, how would you be feeling? I want those feelings coming in the chat. I want to know exactly how you'd be feeling in the chat. If you had enemies and God had allowed all your enemies to be defeated, so none of your enemies can stand against you ever again, how would you be feeling? Let me know in the chat, guys. Let me know in the chat, okay? I want to see this, guys. Let's go. And let's comment swiftly, guys. Let's comment swiftly so I can keep all of the value in the session coming, flowing to you. All right, I love that. Alison says she'd be feeling jubilant, okay? So she'd be jubilating. I love this, all right? I'm actually going to keep that one on the board. So there'll be jubilant feeling. I love that. They're all coming in now. Alison says she'll be feeling relief. Dwayne says he'll be feeling peace. Dwayne said he'll be feeling grateful. They're all flowing in now. Okay. The fire's blowing up the house right now. All right. Alison gave me another one. I'm going to write this one. She said she'll be feeling on fire. Right. Now, why is this important? Watch why this is important. All right. Okay. I see you. Watch why this is important. Verse 2. And the king said unto Nathan. So the king is now talking to the prophet, the priest, the other guy who's in charge of stuff, right? The king now said unto Nathan, the prophet, see now, I live in a house of cedar. Now, a house of cedar is like a temple, okay? It's like a house that's in the greatest predicament of houses, okay? So the king says, I live in a house of cedar, okay? So I live in a house of cedar, which basically is proverbially a temple, right? But watch this, verse 2. But the ark of God dwelleth within curtains. Now, God, his stuff is literally staying within curtains. Now, if you live within curtains, what do you live within? You live within a tent. Okay? And if you read more modern translations of the Bible, they will literally use these two words. A temple, I am living in a temple, and the things of God are living in a tent. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, Samuel, wow, this is like Bible language. What do you mean? I live in a temple, but things of God are living in a tent. What that literally means, let me show you by literally illustrating this. What that means is this king had all his enemies defeated, and the king was not feeling jubilant. The king was not feeling relief. The king was not feeling peace. The king was not feeling grateful, nor was he feeling on fire. And the reason he wasn't feeling any of those positive emotions that we'd be feeling is because he understood that the most important thing to him, for him, that was the things of God. For you, that might be your children. For you, that might be your parents. For you, that might be your siblings. For you, that might be your passion and your purpose. Those things were living in a tent. Those things were living within curtains, within literal net. And this is what made David upset. David couldn't understand that. How can the most important things to me be living in curtains when I'm out here living successfully in plush? So this is how I was able to start deriving the principles to start seeing how we go from tent to temple and scale our property portfolio. So if you guys are ready, just write in the chat the word ready as we start to break it down. Now, this all starts with a tent. I hope you guys see that. It starts with a tent. And that tent might be where you are right now. That might be your proverbial starting place. But here's the interesting thing. From a tent, did you know that you could advance and go? Let me ask you this again. From a tent, did you know that you can advance and grow? Let me ask you like that. And you could grow from a tent into a small house. Okay? You could literally go from having a tent, being in a tent, being homeless, living in a park, to now being in a small house. And here's the beautiful thing. Did you know from a small house or a tent, you can go, you can grow? And you can go from being in a small house, being in a tent, you can grow, you can go to having a mixed use property. A mixed use property investment. For those of you who don't know what mixed use is, that's where you have a building which has part commercial and part residential, and all of it is bringing you revenue. Did you know that you can go, did you know that you can grow from a tent, from a small house to a mixed use property? And did you know that you can go, did you know that you can grow from a mixed use property even on to potentially a multi-family property? What do I mean by multi-family property? If you're in the UK, we're talking about a block of flats or blocks of flats. If you're in the US, we're talking about an apartment building, okay? And if you're anywhere else in the world, you probably know what I mean. And if you don't, let us know in the chat what your version of that is. Did you know that you can go? Did you know that you can grow from a tent, from literally being homeless, to a small house, from a small house to a mixed use dwelling or property which you use as an investment, all the way up? Did you know that you can go? Did you know that you can grow to a multi-family property? And even beyond that multi-family property, did you know that you can go? Did you know that you can grow all the way to what we are calling a proverbial temple? And we define this proverbial temple, I'm going to draw it right here. We define this proverbial temple, as I shared earlier, as a well-balanced property portfolio, generating you revenue that can help you, help your next generation, help your children, help your parents, help your family move further, faster as it pertains to property. So the question you're probably asking yourself, which is the question I'd be asking myself, is, Samuel, how do we do this? How do I go from literally living in a tent to at least getting a small house? How do I go from literally being homeless to at least having a small property? Okay, if this is something of interest to you, if this is a question that you're thinking about, let me just see in the chat the words "I am," so I know that we're in the right place today. So let me share with you one of the key ways you can do this. One of the key ways you can do this is by starting. My green is still thick from the last time I was on the board. Let's get this back. There we go. Okay. The way you're going to do this, I see the I ams in the chat. Ellie Wellbeing says I am. Dwayne says I am. Alison says I am. Let's go. So the way you're going to do this is you're going to start with attainable investments. Start with attainable investments. That's how you get to that first step. Now, here's the thing that's a challenge for a lot of people. A lot of people think attainable investments mean it's not going to cost you anything. Okay? And I'm here to tell you today, it doesn't mean it's not going to cost you anything if something is an attainable investment. That's not what that means. That's not what that means. Okay? An attainable investment means an investment you can get into. Okay? Now, that may cost you something. Okay? Maybe I need to repeat that for those of you in the back who weren't listening to me. That may cost you something. For you to get into an attainable investment, it may cost you something. Let me even go deep, because some of you might not be ready for this, and I love Alison's comment. She says, attainable investments. It may cost you everything. Someone needed to hear that. Let me share it real clear. It may cost you everything to get into an attainable investment. It may cost you what feels right now like everything. Why? Because who you are now at the tent level is not who you're going to be when you're at the temple level. If somebody's feeling me, just let me see in the chat. I hear you, Samuel. You are going to transform into someone else. And because you're going to transform into someone else, who you are now at the level of the tent is not who you're going to be at the level of the temple. And this is the reason why I'm saying to you, you can go, you can grow from a tent to a small house if you start with attainable investments. And attainable is not defined by it's easy. I'm going to say that again, because some of us have been spoon-fed easy. Attainable doesn't mean easy. Attainable does not mean someone's gonna do the work for me. Let me tell you what attainable means. Attainable means even if it costs me everything. Attainable means even if my friends ain't feeling me doing this. Attainable means even if I feel like I'm literally being hung on a cross to get this investment over the line, this might just be the attainable investment that I need in order for me and my family to succeed. If someone's with me, let me know in the chat. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to start with attainable investments. Now let's get practical. What might that be? If you're someone who's literally homeless, you may not feel like you have enough money to go buy a house, but you can control a property. You can use strategies like rent to rent. You can use strategies like lease options. Now, for those of you who don't know, I created this program some time ago. It's called 30 Ways in 30 Days. Now, the program 30 Ways in 30 Days is a program where I clearly outline 30 separate ways that you can make money using property as a vehicle. Why am I sharing that with you? Because there are multiple strategies beyond rent to rent, beyond lease options. The point I'm making is there are strategies you can use with little or in many cases no money to start getting into attainable investments. Hello, somebody, let's go. But here's the beautiful thing. Once you start generating revenue from attainable investments, there's another thing you can do. You can go and you can grow from a small house to a mixed use by reinvesting your revenue. Okay? Now, this is where many people go wrong. They go and get an attainable investment. They start making money and they spend their revenue. They say, oh, before I ever had any of these deals, I used to owe these people some bills. And because they're so focused on the bills, they get their focus off of the future deals. Here's something to help you. If you are focused on deals, your deals will become more real. If you are focused on bills, then your bills will become more real. And this is why so many people, they go from a proverbial 10 into maybe their first small house or small properties or attainable investments, and then they jump off the line because their bills take up all their time. And they don't realize, well, hold on a minute, yes, I'm paying these bills, but I'll get to these bills when I make more from these deals. Okay? So reinvest in revenue. Now that's the key. Let's assume you go and get 1 or 2 rent-to-rent properties, 1 or 2 service accommodation properties, 1 or 2 properties generating you revenue. You're at the small house level, but now instead of using that money to go buy a car, instead of wasting that money on other things, you now reinvest that revenue and you level up to your next stage en route to your proverbial temple, and you get your mixed use property. You go a stage higher, okay? Now, why is this important? This is important because when you get to that next stage, you now own property. You've now acquired something. You've now got something inside of your portfolio. You may have started with attainable investments, as Alison's thrown in the comments, but you fast forward into reinvesting your revenue so you can acquire assets. And here's the beautiful thing about real assets. Real assets appreciate generally in value, which give you the opportunity to take that next step. Now, what is that next step you're asking me? Here's the next step. You start to leverage your equity. Okay? We have aunties, uncles, friends, family, people in our community who have bought houses decades ago, multiple decades ago. And guess what they're doing with them? Sitting on them. They've got money stuck in bricks and they're sitting on them and complaining about how they are eating Ryvita. Well, here's the funniest thing. Why don't you take out that revenue and leverage your equity? Leverage your equity to acquire more assets. Because this is very viable. Very, very viable. Okay? Alison, let me know in the chat, is this viable? Is this viable, Alison? All right? Alison's one of our coaching students, so she knows whether this is viable or not. And Alison says in the chat, money stuck in bricks. I love it. Okay? So this is what you do. You leverage the equity, and that's how you move forward to multi-family properties. You now start putting larger assets on the map. Alison uses the term, it is indeed. I love that. It's very, very possible. So after you start developing multifamily properties, you start building up your portfolio. This is why in the Monopoly game, the game of Monopoly, here's what happens. You end up with 4 greenhouses. And when you get the 4 greenhouses, what do? You trade them in to get a large hotel. Okay? And that's the same roadmap I'm showing you right here. What happened is people just took it out and turned it into a game. But it's the same thing. You start with attainable investments. You get in where you can fit in. You translate that from your small house to reinvest in revenue. So maybe tapping into larger assets, mixed use opportunities. Then from there, you shift into leveraging the equity, using what you've got. Don't let the money sit in the bricks. Instead, pull the money out and utilize that to go to multifamily property. And that's where you get to a great place where you can start using, as a last step, creative finance strategies. And you start using these creative finance strategies to go from all of the assets you've had to the level of assets you desire. And that's where you can start presenting your portfolio at the temple level. You shift literally from going from a tent to a temple by virtue of taking full advantage of the things that I've shown you in today's session. If someone's got value from what I've been showing you guys, let me see the word value in the chat. Let me see the word value in the chat. And then we're going to go into our question section. So let me just share this with you guys so you guys have this as well. I want to give this to you. This is a quote that I want you guys to write down, those of you who are taking notes. All right. The key is starting small versus not starting at all. The key is starting small versus not starting at all. This is one of the biggest challenges most people have. Most people have the challenge in the sense that they don't start at all. I'm telling you here today, whether you're joining us on YouTube, whether you're joining us in Facebook, whether you're joining us live, whether you're joining us on a replay, guys, the key is to start small versus not starting at all. Stop comparing yourself to maybe your friend who you had in secondary school or your friend who you had in college or someone else, and start comparing yourself to the true levels of success that you can create the moment you start to realize what is possible for you. I see value flood in the chat. This is great. So guys, with that being said, the team have put together some questions that they have said to themselves, maybe after going through this session, there's going to be a few questions people are going to be asking. So like I said, the key is starting small versus not starting at all. Let's throw these questions up on the board. So the 3 questions the team thought you guys might want to ask today are, how can you start investing with little money? That's question A. Question B is, what are some ways to grow your property profits? And question C is, how do you use your home to buy more properties? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick poll. I want you guys to vote in the chat, A, B, or C. Which question would you like me to answer? Question A, question B, or question C? Just put in the chat A, B, or C, whichever letter you want us to answer that question, A, B, or C. And straight after you guys do that, what I will do is I will answer the specific question within the time allotted. So guys, let's do that. Let's vote on the question. Which question do you want me to answer this week? Alison says B. Let's go. Dwayne says A. Let's put the poll on the screen. All right, so we've got a vote for A, a vote for B. Let's go, guys. Come on, which question should we answer? Question A, question B, question C. Let me know, guys, which question would you like us to answer? Question A again is, how can I start investing with little money? Question B is, what are some ways to grow my property profits? And question C is, how do I use my home to buy more properties? Let us know your answers in the chat. For those of you who haven't voted yet, Ellie Wellbeing, Katrina, everyone else who's in the live, let us know in the chat. Alison, I see what you're doing here. I see what Alison is doing here. Alison is edging ahead. Okay, she's edging ahead by virtue of energy. I love that. Dwayne is now interested in getting the same question answered as well. B is getting all of the votes right now. It looks like I'm loving this. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. All right, guys. So with that being said, let's use this opportunity right now And let's switch into answering question B, which seems to be the most highest voted question. Question B. So coming back to the question, question B was, what are some ways to grow my property profits? Now, this is a beautiful question, okay? The reason why this is a beautiful question is because most people utilize all of their time in property doing things that other people told them are the best ways to generate revenue. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is most people are just doing what we call BTL or buy to let. Okay, but there are several other things you can do. There are things like let to buy, which many people don't think about. Okay, there's also high income strategies, cash flow generation strategies. This is what we teach in our 5-day cash flow creation challenge, cash flow generation strategies. Okay, and these are strategies that are going to maximize your income. Okay, they're going to maximize strategies. Okay, thank God it's not a spelling test. These are strategies that are going to maximize your income. Okay, so I'm going to give you 3 insights into how we do that. One of them may be you take advantage of multiple rooms. One of them is that you take advantage of what we call multiple stays. Okay, and the third one, which is the one that all of my students generally love when I teach it, is by tapping into what we call niche groups. Okay, and this is one of the things, again, as I mentioned, we teach on the 5-day cash flow creation challenge. So guys, the way, in answering the question, the way to make more money from your existing properties is to ramp up your cash flow. Stop thinking in the old traditional way that buy to let is the only way to make money. Start looking at ways that you can leverage strategies such as let to buy, renting out the existing house you live in so you can buy another house, and then start looking at how you can maximize your cash flow by taking advantage of multiple rooms or multiple stays or niche groups, or like some of my students who are very, very intelligent do, take advantage of all of these at the same time. Guys, with that being said, I hope that's been valuable to you. If you've got value, let me know in the chat. Share your key takeaway in the chat. If you're joining us on the replay, let us know in the comments what your key takeaway was. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you exactly what we're going to be covering next week, because I think some of you are going to be thinking, Samuel, did you read my mind if that's what you're covering next week? And the answer is no, I didn't read your mind. All right, so next week, guys, what we're going to be covering is the widow's oil, how to maximize property returns on small investments. Let me say that one more time. The widow's oil, how to maximize your property returns on small investments. And I really love the image we've put on this particular session next week, because this woman's dealing with the oil, but inside of the oil is her whole portfolio being generated. You can see the whole skyscraper, the skyline inside of the oil. And this is what we're going to be covering in next week's session. For those of you who are looking forward to next week's session, let me know in the chat. For those of you who haven't yet shared your key takeaway, let us have your key takeaway in the chat as well. So next week we're covering the widow's oil, maximizing returns on small investments. So we're going to be showing you literally how you could take a small investment from a Bible-based perspective and turn that into a maximum revenue. Now, for those of you who've got value throughout today's session and you're saying to yourself, Samuel, you know what, this stuff has been super valuable, like all of the people that are writing value in the chat, and you're thinking to yourself, Samuel, how do I get more of this? How do I literally get trained by you to understand how to understand this stuff on a higher level? You guys, if you want to learn more, you can simply go to the website cashflowcreationchallenge.com. all right, cashflowcreationchallenge.com, and that's exactly where my wife and I help people move further, faster in their property investing journey by literally uncovering the strategies, the secrets, the system, so you can have success in your property investment journey. Okay, so guys, if you are getting value from today's session, Dwayne says the whole breakdown was amazing. Let's go. If you are getting value from this session, I'm going to encourage you to take full advantage. Go to that website, cashflowcreationchallenge.com and get yourself registered on one of our up and coming cash flow creation challenges so you and your family can move further faster in your property investment journey. With that being said, Samuel I Can Win, I'm signing out. Guys, use the timer to throw in your key takeaways if you haven't already. I'm going to see you on the next one. Good day. God bless. Take care. Let's go.